What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Radiovania, episode number 62.
The Booty Call Part 2.
That's right, everybody. You've been waiting for it, you've been clamoring for it, and now here we are at the Magnuson Grand Hotel for round 2. This time, it's not Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, no, it's not. It's definitely not.
This time, it's Venom. If you've never listened to an episode of Radiovania before, the premise is simple. Usually we talk about things that we really like. And this time,
it's about things we hate.
It's about things that we loathe deep in our souls.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. If you're a Venom fan, get the fuck out of this podcast. Because it's not going to be pleasant.
If you want to listen to us, we do a lot of, commentary on social medias and, entertainment, pop culture. Just go to radiovania.com and check that out. But today we're strictly doing a little bit of our movie review show. We're going to talk about Venom in full spoilers. We just saw it. We're going to talk about a couple other little news stories, maybe if we get around to it. But basically today is Venom time because it's been hotly anticipated in the Radiovania
stratosphere.
Yes, exactly. So buckle up, strap in.
Get your favorite symbiote attached to your body.
Exactly.
And get ready for a wild ride. Because this is Venom.
Following a scandal, journalist Eddie Brock attempts to revive his career by investigating the Life Foundation, but bonds with an alien symbiote that gives superpowers to its host, turning him into the Mask.
Pause. Okay. That paragraph that describes the movie covers the first 25 minutes of the movie, maybe 30. It goes really fast. Really fast.
Yeah.
And the plot points don't necessarily connect to the next one, but he does get the symbiote eventually. It does attach to him. The way that it does is questionable. Thoughts?
I started getting worried at the very beginning. Here's the thing. I wouldn't consider myself like a professional film critic. I studied film for 4 years at a college and I didn't finish.
What's the college again?
Don't worry about it.
What is it?
Don't worry about it. I studied film for 4 years.
Is it an accredited university?
Don't even worry about it. I studied film for 4 years and
did you watch Prince of Egypt?
I did not watch surprisingly no. But let me tell you this. It's strongly advised against to open a film with an unanswered question that doesn't really lead into anything super resonant.
Okay, let me explain what he means for a second.
Okay.
Imagine that this is like the classic Key and Peele sketch of Interpreter, where he's the president and I'm the interpreter. What he's saying is the movie opens upon a shot of a shuttle coming in towards Earth, where the person over the intercom says, Houston, we're coming in for a landing. Oh, God. Oh, God. And then the shuttle begins to erupt in flames instantaneously after he says, oh, God.
With no explanation. We don't know why the ship
Next shot
flames.
You see, the ship is in pieces.
Yeah.
Scattered throughout, I think, India. Not entirely sure.
Yeah.
They didn't spend a whole lot of time there.
No.
And they have 3 containers of symbiotes.
Yeah.
So the first question that I have for you, Zachary, is... A, how did this shuttle crash if the symbiotes were in a container? Or did they break out of the container and then did they catch them back in containers? Do they have a special squad of people in India to catch symbiotes in vials in case the space shuttle crashes?
Okay. Well,
that's my first question. And also this is in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. So basically what I'm trying to say is that the movie's at odds with itself constantly. There were
like a person with a symbiote.
There were I couldn't count on my fingers the amount of times that something happened where I was just thinking but why?
How many times
and then
did they
turned
ask?
to John and I was like, why did that happen? And like, it was just.
How many times did they ask the question, or did they say the phrase "Have a nice life" in that movie?
A little bit too many.
Like 4.
Well, just a couple
like
too
4
many.
times.
Yeah.
If that was supposed to be like a theme, bad idea.
Okay. But John, before we get into spoilers completely.
Oh, sorry. We kind of
no. We opened
the opening.
We talked about the beginning, but
okay.
Before we get into spoilers, give me like your brief synopsis. And tell me if you would recommend the movie or not. Like,
okay.
Tell me like what you think about it, your
right.
general thoughts, and then we'll dive into like specific details because I have plenty of thoughts.
My opinion of Venom, directed by Ruben Fleischer, 2018, is as follows. It's like a 13-year-old boy saw a picture of Venom in a comic book, and he's like, you know what? I think I could write a Venom movie. And he went home and he got a notepad and he wrote down a couple of sentences and then he jerked off because he's a 13-year-old boy. And then he got his jizz on the paper that his script was, so he had to start over and rinse and repeat a couple different times. So it's like 5 different scripts.
Gross.
It's gross, yeah. So is getting a symbiote infested in your body.
Yeah.
The end product being something that doesn't necessarily make sense coherently, that wastes the potential of 2 Academy Award nominated actors, 2 of them, and 1 Emmy Award nominated actor, and someone who was in Star Wars.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Putting it simply. And when we get to the 20-point scale review, I will be curious to see what you give it.
Would you give it a recommendation?
No.
Okay.
If anything, this is a movie that is your 5th option on Netflix. You heard it here. 5th, that's 5 option on Netflix. I rest my case, Your Honor.
I mostly agree with John. I think the movie, like we'll discuss here in a bit, it has some good ideas. I think I don't think the script is as inept as a brain-dead teenager trying to write a Venom script. I do think there is some genuine inspiration. There's some...
Like what?
Well, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I think that there's some interesting, like, set pieces that could have been good. But
Which one? The first Dark Street or the second Dark Street with the motorcycle chase?
We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this. So let me get through my thing here.
All right, yeah. You're trying to be nice. I understand. Ruben Fleischer's obviously listening.
Yeah, obviously.
If he is, you fucked up. Sorry.
No, it's weird. Like, I've got Suicide Squad flashbacks.
Oh yeah,
a lot during this film.
Not as bad.
Well,
until the ending.
I think Suicide Squad is a more miserable movie to watch. I think
because it's not fun.
Suicide Squad is like, the whole time I was watching it, I just felt assaulted by I felt like I was watching a movie made by a committee telling me, these are characters that you should like, that we're going to expand into this great universe, and you're going to love all of them because they're awesome and bad guys, and you like bad guys, right?
Yeah.
In this, let me get through it.
No. I'm
in
just
Venom,
processing.
In Venom, I didn't necessarily get an overwhelming, overbearing sense that there was a studio shoving Venom down my throat. I honestly did.
In fact, it seems like no one was involved at all.
We'll get to that. There were plenty of times throughout the movie that I felt like, okay, I can see the vision of the director in this. Like, I can see what he might have been going for. He might have been going for like this sort of weird,
like
alien sort of body horror, sort of like dark, gritty, like internal monologue sort of movie. Like, I saw the vision of the director. Unfortunately, it gets bogged down in, I think, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, but a cut down in the rating, making it PG-13, limiting on the violence, limiting on the gore, and what you can do with a violent character like Venom. And then just the overall, like, choppiness of the script really, really didn't service this movie well in making a coherent story. So I definitely don't recommend it. It's a bad movie. But unlike Suicide Squad, I kept hoping that it would turn around. Suicide Squad, I was like, just
first act
end it. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, please end this. But during this, I'm watching Tom Hardy, who I really like, and I'm like,
Sure.
I'm thinking the whole time, like, God, I feel so bad for him. I was like,
I was hoping
please
Spider-Man
turn
was
this
going to show
around.
up.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
have something really, really cool that I can latch onto. And at the end, they try, and it just doesn't land. But
You mean?
we'll talk about it. Resounding non-recommendation
Sure.
from me.
Sure. Sure.
It's a bad movie. It might be
The Room of Superheroes.
it might be one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. Not maybe the worst since Suicide Squad, but I think I hated Suicide Squad more just because I hated what it represented.
I hated how Suicide Squad made me feel like it was going to be a movie that I liked,
Yeah.
and then it didn't deliver, whereas Venom I knew I wasn't going to like.
I hated that Suicide Squad took characters that I thought I liked and fucked them in the ass.
Sure.
And Venom took a character that I don't really care about, but I think is kind of cool, and just kind of didn't do anything with it.
Right. So
Venom was like a flat line.
Let's explore Venom.
Yeah, so
Because we've already talked about Suicide Squad in
Yeah.
troves.
yeah, so
But that was a good comparison. I appreciate that.
We're moving into spoilers. John, you're a non-recommendation.
No.
I'm a non-recommendation.
No.
So if you want to listen to this spoiler discussion, feel free to. But we're just going to hash out a few of the things that we had thought about the movie. I'm sure we're going to leave some stuff out, but here you go. Would you like to begin?
We go. No, I want you to begin.
So yeah, what you were talking about with the beginning. Can we talk about I don't understand how this got jumbled up and lost in translation, but like, who thought that the opening of that movie was exciting?
It seemed like they were riding on the coattails of Infinity War, which opens with the ship being ransacked. But instead of showing what happens inside of the ship, they just skip to the next scene. And I bet you that's a deleted scene.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, that's the
because
thing
they
is that,
also the person
say,
that dies is John Jameson, which is
Okay.
J. Jonah Jameson's kid,
and
who is the guy in Spider-Man 2.
But Jameson's son is intimately tied with the Venom character in the comics, correctly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's the pilot of the shuttle that brought the symbiote to Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but he doesn't die.
Something we should mark before
It's like the Jimmy Olsen death in BVS is what it reminded me of very much. Yeah.
What we should say before we get into the discussion is that we're both aware of the media blitz happening with Venom, where Tom Hardy, multiple people involved with the production have said that they cut over 40 minutes of footage from the film. So this is kind of, this movie,
This is
like I
Suicide
said,
Squad, yeah.
This movie echoes Suicide Squad
Or BVS.
whole lot.
Yeah, or BVS.
It's almost like
Or
it's
Daredevil.
almost like repeat the past. You're doomed to repeat the past if you don't know it, kind of thing.
Would you say you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain?
I would say that that's fairly accurate.
Yeah. All right. So symbiote arrives.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about one of my major problems with the movie.
Okay, hit me.
The relationship between Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams.
Yeah.
It was vacant.
Yeah. Well, it was weird. It was like they expected you to have this sort of emotional connection with the two of them based on.
But you don't know them.
Based on what?
Nothing.
Based on what? Like they have a scene together at a restaurant where they kind of like argue and don't have any chemistry.
And actually, in that scene was one of my favorite parts of the movie, which is when she referenced the comic.
Yeah, well,
the Daily Globe incident.
Yeah, you looked at me and you were like, "Oh, look at that," and I was like,
and then they didn't play on it.
But
anymore.
what was the reference? I didn't even know what the reference.
The Daily
was.
Globe incident is when Peter Parker shames Eddie Brock from the Daily Bugle, and Eddie Brock's story gets shut down at the Daily Globe, which drives him to hate Peter Parker, which drives him to become Venom. Much like what they tried to do in Spider-Man 3, except for they worked at two rivaling newspapers in New York.
So you think that is directly referencing directly referencing Tom Holland's Peter Parker?
Hopefully.
You think so?
Hopefully.
Okay. Interesting.
Is there a world that I would watch a Tom Holland and Tom Hardy Venom and Spider-Man?
We'll get to this.
Yeah.
We'll get to this.
We'll talk about it.
We'll get to this. So the chemistry between them, totally vacant. And there's
it's
one,
as more absent of life as Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen
it's unbelievable.
in scenes. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's like I don't even know if they had screen tests with each other.
And then they introduce this other guy. They introduce the guy, and I like the other actor.
What's his name?
He's from Veep.
What's his name?
I
the character
have no
name.
idea.
Was it Ray?
No idea. Who cares?
Raymond?
Who cares?
Everybody loves Raymond.
They introduce this other guy that ends up falling in love with Michelle Williams over the course of
a night,
a day, a week. It's like the passage of time in this movie is also so fucked.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that for a second, because Eddie Brock gets a gig talking to the head of the Life Foundation, which, first of all, bad company name. Second of all, it's led by Riz Ahmed, who might give one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time.
Well, yeah. So should we talk about Riz Ahmed now? Just like get it all on the table?
Might as well. Yeah, might as well. But what I wanted to point out is that before we do that, the interview goes poorly. He gets fired from his job, and then he gets broken up with because his interview went poorly.
And then we're supposed to sympathize with the girl too?
With the girl.
Because she comes back and helps him later.
Because to me, she seemed kind of like a bitch, dude.
Yeah.
Like she just like broke up with him because his interview went bad.
Yeah, it's like
she's like, you ruined my life. And I was like,
How?
When?
It's like, why?
Because he didn't...
It's like, are people like harassing you in the streets because your boyfriend tried to like...
That's another thing that I'd probably cut out in the 40 minutes.
Well, you would think that in this like climate of like... I'm not saying specifically, but like social justice-ness and like people like reporters doing like the good of the people. When he's trying to out this dude for being a scumbag, why would your girlfriend break up with you about that?
Because he shut you down.
It just...
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It just didn't make any sense.
Anyway, let's talk about Riz Ahmed.
Yeah, so Riz Ahmed, I think I've only seen him in Rogue One also.
As Bodhi.
Bodhi.
I'm the pilot. I defected.
I don't really like him in Rogue One. I mean, like...
That's okay.
I don't like...
I do. I really do like him in Rogue One.
Okay. I mean, he plays that innocent part well, but he doesn't have much of an arc.
He plays someone... much like Finn, who realizes that he got in a little over his head with the wrong side.
Finn has more of a character arc because
he's the main character.
But he's also tormented about this. Bodhi is just one note. He's like, I'm the pilot. I'm dead now. Spoilers for Rogue One.
First of all, he kind of underplayed Bodhi's role. Bodhi took the cable and plugged it into the communicator to be able to open the shield. I don't know if you remember that part.
He basically did what I did when I had to install Cincinnati Bell in my apartment.
Exactly, but Bodhi saved the galaxy, whereas Zach saved himself.
I just made sure I could access all my websites that I wanted.
Back to Riz Ahmed's character,
Fortnite.
who's... Wait, what was the guy's name?
Riot?
No, not the character, not the villain. What was his name?
Bryant?
Drake.
This is the thing, man. It's like
who gives a
nobody's fuck? There is not a single character in this movie that is memorable
besides Stan Lee.
Which shocker.
He was in.
Shocker that he's in this movie.
I feel bad for him.
Well, I don't feel bad for Stan Lee because what the fuck else is he doing?
He should have not put his stamp on this movie.
I don't think that's necessarily him putting his stamp on it. I think that's just expected from the Marvel audience. I know what you mean.
He hasn't been in all of the X-Men movies. Why should he be in Venom?
That's a good point. I mean, Spider-Man is his baby. So, by extension...
And Venom is... Never mind.
Venom is his, like, baby by extension. Adopted son. His bastard child. Oh, Jesus.
I said it. Sorry, cut that out.
So, yeah.
What time was that, Nat?
Riz Ahmed is just a flat line. The whole movie. Not intimidating.
So is Jenny Slate. Remember she was in this movie? Jean-Ralphio's sister?
Oh, yeah, she dies. She kills him. Or he kills her.
With the symbiote.
With the symbiote because
Like 40 minutes in.
Because
she helped
lied,
Tom Hardy get in?
Question mark.
Because she felt bad. So she tried to expose
Which is like
Riz Ahmed to the press. Another sub-theme of the
what's
movie.
another thing? It's like
The power of the press.
it's like this movie hurts my head. The movie starts an interesting character arc with her where they're like, oh, she's this girl that's tormented by she's like she has a successful job but she doesn't like the way that the business is going, so she reaches out to this guy.
But the way she does it is weird because he's like talking to himself for like 5 minutes.
Sure, but she reaches out to this guy that might be able to help her try to get, do the good thing, the right thing, and she dies. And then she's never spoken about for the rest of the movie. It's never like, I'm doing this because of you. You bring this. You did this for me.
I think what he's trying to say is
she's dead and forgotten.
Eddie, did this for me. So many snacks.
Yeah.
Pancreas. Ribs.
Okay, so
Heart.
are we still on Riz Ahmed or are we just
No, fuck that guy. Let's move on.
I mean, it's like
no offense, Riz Ahmed.
no. I don't think he's a terrible actor.
It's not his fault.
Again, it just goes with the rest of the theme of this movie. It's just horribly mismanaged. They miscast almost every role in this. Like
The only good casting they had was the lead.
And I want to save Tom Hardy's performance for last.
Okay.
What do you want to talk about next? Where do you want to go from here?
I
want
want
to talk about Riz Ahmed. We talked about.
I want to talk about Venom.
Just the Venom character.
The actual character of Venom.
Okay.
What did you think about the effects, visual effects?
I thought the movie was boring looking. Everything just looked
very
kind of bland.
Dark.
Everybody was joking on the internet when the first trailer came out of Riz Ahmed's Riot and Venom fighting each other when they all kind of split apart, and it's just like it looks like goop, and it does. It looks like
There's a lot of goop in this movie.
It looks like vomit.
If you have a irrational fear of like slime, this is not the movie for you. Nor is Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing I want to bring up. Tom Hardy's Venom voice.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I liked it.
What I liked
We can do whatever we want.
So, again, it follows the trend of like Bane, where a lot of people tend to think that I think the voice of Bane and the voice of Venom are similar in the fact that they're divisive.
Except for you can understand one of them.
Well, hold your horses there.
Batman.
He's off on a little soapbox.
As soon as Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die.
I could understand everything Bane was saying,
Oh.
and I thought it was creepy and unsettling. The voice of Venom definitely had similar attributes, but I don't know, the way that it was mixed, the way that it was brought to the front every time, and
Like blasted in the speakers?
Yeah, you couldn't hear anything else but it. It definitely felt disorienting.
Oh, it was distracting as hell.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
From an editing standpoint, like he would be talking to somebody and then he would be like, hungry. And it'd be like
exactly.
right there in your face.
But
yeah.
the thing is that like that, maybe we can't blame that on the production crew. That's like a direction kind of thing where it's
or
like
a film editing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where the
Sound mixing.
Well, the director would be in charge of editing,
Of
but
course,
like
yeah.
they were like, make sure that the Venom voice is the loudest thing at this point, and it's like really?
I want to hear him
You
say
wanna do that?
pancreas.
Exactly. It's like well, it's like you would have think that some editor would be like, why? But
But they didn't.
they didn't. I didn't. To be honest, I mean, like I said before, when we saw the trailer, I saw a lot of promise for the visual aspect of the film because Venom looked great.
No, he looks
Like
cool.
in the first trailer when he like assembles all thing and he's holding the guy in the street and he like licks his face, I was like, Topher Grace is like a piece of shit compared to this Venom. But then there's just no emotion to back it up. There's no weight to the character. It's just
Squad.
it doesn't feel like Venom doesn't feel like a thing. It feels like
symbiote.
nuisance. It feels like a virus. It doesn't even feel like a character.
Yeah,
Like,
it feels like a parasite.
it's just weird. Like, you would have thought that the easy way to go about it was to just make Venom appear, have little backstory, and just focus on Tom Hardy as a character.
Like in a Spider-Man movie? Like someone on this show might have mentioned, like, I don't know, like a year and a half ago.
So
We're just going to brush that under the rug.
no, yeah. So we might be this might be jumping ahead, but what the fuck? We're discussing Venom in all of its aspects. But what I wanted to know is that I remember months ago when we talked about Venom movie, and I gave my prediction that I thought the movie was going to be good. I was dead wrong. But I did feel
Bad time to not put a drink bet on something.
Exactly. But in my heart of hearts, I believed that Spider-Man was going to be in this. I believed within my heart of hearts that Tom Holland was going to have some sort of cameo. Do you think it would have helped the movie at all? And where do you think he would have fit in if Tom Holland was in the movie?
I think it would have helped. I think Tom Holland would have been in the second act of the film.
Okay.
Because I think in the first act, you need to clearly flesh out Eddie Brock and Anna and Riz Ahmed, as well as introduce the concept of the symbiote. And then in the second act, we find out that it's warped to Spider-Man. And then you play out that whole comic storyline, which doesn't take very long. That's the thing that really bugged me, is that they could have covered that in the second act of this movie.
Yeah.
And then it warps to Eddie. And then the film kind of deals with his coping with it. But I think they covered way too much ground in this movie.
Yeah, it was like they were trying to do too many things with a character that no one really knew.
Okay, yeah. So
it's like
the point that I think would be interesting is in the Avengers, there's a great moment, the first one, when the Hulk admits that he's always angry, right? And that's how he can maintain the Hulk.
That's my secret, Cap.
Yeah. As lame as that line is.
That's a great line, though.
This movie...
It's not lame at all. It's perfectly.
This movie, which is about a symbiote, should have ended with Eddie and the symbiote being perfectly morphed together as one character. And that sets up the sequel.
But I think
it's like you build towards it.
I think that's what the director was trying to do at the end, where he kills the guy. He kills the guy in the convenience store. But the problem is that the convenience store lady seems completely unaffected by this murder that just happened in her store.
She does run a bodega in Brooklyn. Let's be honest.
But
or San Francisco.
When was the last time she saw a giant alien monster rip a dude's head off in her bodega?
You ever been to China?
No, but I've been to San Francisco. It's like, yeah.
Hashtag Heat Check Award for the best actor in the movie, Miss Chen. No plot holes in her acting. Throwing it out there.
Nope, she's good. She's got a character. She doesn't have a character arc, but she has a character.
Boom.
Yeah, man. I mean, this movie was just frustrating because when the first time that he becomes Venom, there's that scene in the apartment where he's like killing the cops or whatever, but then he's on the motorcycle.
Throwing people out the window, yeah.
But then at the end I was like, the whole time during the action sequence, my brain just like, I was like,
flatline.
I was like, I don't give a shit about any of, and I'm like sipping on my beer. And then at the end of the action sequence, he holds the guy up, he turns into Venom, he bites the guy's head off, and then he starts jumping around, and I was like, for a brief second, I was like, ee! And my heart rate monitor went beep, beep. And it like had I was like, oh, that was kind of cool.
And then he jumped in the water.
And then he jumped in the water. Like,
he
jumped in the water like fucking Aquaman and Justice League. And I was
you out of your mind, Bruce Wayne.
And I was sitting there and I just felt my boner go pew, and just like, I was like, how the fuck? How do you mess that up?
And when he comes out of the water, he's not in the Venom.
Yeah, and he comes out of the thing, and they talk under the bridge. I was like, you just set up a really cool action sequence, and then you just killed it. You killed it. You had your it doesn't make any sense.
You had your turning point.
That was the part in the movie where I officially shut my brain off because I was like,
that's good because the third act is garbage.
The third act is complete schlock. It's just nothing but like the final fight scene. The goop fight is
hashtag goop fight 2018.
The goop fight is disgusting to view.
It's hard to see.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Badly edited.
It's
also the Riz Ahmed symbiote and the Tom Hardy symbiote aren't that different in color.
No,
so it's hard to keep track of in the movie.
Oh, so we'll get to that. We'll get to the post credits sequence here. You just want to get to it now. Let's just get to it. Do you have anything else to say about like the other parts of the movie? I mean,
I want to talk about Tom Hardy.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about Tom Hardy as the performance of Eddie Brock
and Venom.
Okay,
Eddie. I don't like the voice. Not the Venom voice. I like that one. I don't like the Eddie Brock voice.
See, this is interesting.
This is where we differ.
I actually didn't hate his.
He sounds like John Travolta.
And
get a parasite.
I see what he was going for.
Okay.
He's going for eclectic
East Coast
dude. Eclectic New Yorker. Like
fish out of water in San Fran.
Well, I didn't see much of a difference between him and someone like De Niro in Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
He's got a very like stream of consciousness sort of dialogue that's happening. And I appreciated that when Tom Hardy was able to kind of let that go. But then there's scenes with him and like the girl in the restaurant where he's trying to do that same character and play off of other people. And it just comes across as like abrasive and totally awkward. Like not even remotely human at all. But then there's certain scenes where it's just him talking to himself or talking in like a mental sort of state where it's like, okay, I can like the one you left to go to the bathroom at one scene where it's right after he gets attached to the Venom symbiote and he's walking around his apartment kind of like jittery and talking to himself, and then he's getting like hungry because there's this parasite in him that wants him to eat food and consume energy. And so he's like ripping open like frozen food bags and eating them and like eating raw meat. And then he throws up in the toilet. And then he's like, what am I doing? What am I doing to myself? Blah, 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 blah. But that in those moments, I really felt like that eclectic character that he was playing was shining through. And
did you like the lobster scene?
It was pretty.
That was hilarious.
To be honest, I chuckled. I couldn't tell if I was chuckling because it was dumb or if because it was the movie was actually trying to make me laugh.
I think they were.
Okay,
that seems like a movie where they're like in a writer's room if they had one in this movie, and they're like, you know, what'd be funny is he goes to a restaurant and nothing is live like he wants it, but there's a lobster tank and he just gets in like a hot tub and he starts eating raw lobsters. That's hilarious. But instead we get a picture of Tom Hardy ripping a lobster in half. Yeah. Just being like
yeah, so I don't know. That's another thing is it's like there are so many scenes in this movie where it's like, was that supposed to be funny or am I just laughing because this is bad?
Shout out to our Uber driver who said not to go in with expectations.
Well, that's the thing is that
he was right.
My expectations were at dirt level for this movie. Like, this is the first time I've gone into a movie and paid admission for a movie that I knew that was going to be pretty bad.
Well, we got a military discount. Shout out Chip Parker. High five.
Yeah, shout out. But it's like Suicide Squad was the last really bad movie I remember seeing in theaters. But we didn't know if it was going to be super bad yet because we saw it opening night.
And the trailers look good.
Yeah, mostly.
No, we were excited for that movie.
We were excited.
Think back.
No, I know. We were excited.
They had Queen in the trailer. We were like, the Joker isn't completely repulsive yet. He's probably in a lot of the movie. He's probably the villain. Wrong.
And then Batman punches Harley Quinn in the face, and then Slipknot jumps on the side of a building and gets his head blown off.
Slipknot, the man who can climb anything. Also, the Venom diving in water sequence was like the same as the Batman diving in water sequence. It's like, oh, you like Batman? Fuck your Batman. They're just like, he's not going to be in this movie.
It was so, like, literally, I was laughing out loud and I couldn't control my laughter. I had to plug my mouth because I was laughing so hard because it was so dumb.
Yeah.
He's like, it's this big action set piece with all these motorcycles, and how do they end it? He goes for a swim.
To have a chat.
I just wanted to fucking shoot myself.
Oh.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
You know it wasn't bad?
What's that?
That Creed 2 trailer.
Yeah. Creed 2 looking alright.
Let's talk about the ending.
Okay. The ending or like the post-credits?
The post-credits. I don't care about the ending of this movie.
Well, so briefly,
the faceless, legless turd thing is the ending of this movie.
This movie, man.
So if you liked that sequence in the trailer, great. If you didn't, then I'm sorry.
So can we talk about the trailer first? Just a quick second.
He never says we are Venom until the end. That was lame.
Yeah. Well,
also, the symbiote names himself Venom. Don't like that.
Also, I feel like I saw the whole movie in the trailer.
What movie? Yeah. No, I would agree.
Every single major set piece was in the trailer.
Every act of the movie was covered.
Yeah. It was
besides the opening.
I mean, they didn't reveal like every bit of dialogue or interesting twist, I guess, but it was like...
Was there a twist?
There was no twist.
Yeah.
Any interesting sort of like change in the tone of this, I don't know, whatever they want to call it. Any different moment, but all the... Every what word am I looking for? Every setting was in the trailer.
Sequence.
Sure, but it was like the scene with him in the woods in the trailer. The scene with him in the hospital in the trailer. The scene
what wasn't in the trailer? Michelle Williams covered in goop. Everyone gets gooped in this movie.
Okay.
Everyone.
So that's
no one is safe from the goop.
Okay, so hold on. We got to figure this one out. So the Venom symbiote leaves Tom Hardy when he gets...
Against his will.
When he gets shocked.
Cool that they incorporated the sonic...
Like the EKG or whatever.
Yeah, that's sound.
But then the EKG... God, oh my God.
It splits it from Venom. And then it crawls up into the ceiling.
And then it gets on Michelle Williams?
No, it gets on a Pomeranian.
Oh, and then
the Pomeranian finds Michelle Williams in the hospital. It gets on her. But we didn't see that scene. We just have to assume. And then later on, Tom Hardy's about to be executed in the woods. I don't know why, like Gladiator style. And they're about to pop him in the head.
And then
Michelle Williams shows up, and she's like Mystique, like she's like naked, but she's covered in the. But
the thing is that like by that point,
and they make out, and it's gross.
By that point, I had totally forgotten about that subplot because it's like it suffered a little bit from Last Jedi syndrome, where it was like,
don't do this, don't do this.
I'm about to do it.
You fucker.
There was a certain point in Last Jedi where they had the Finn and Rey, or the Finn and Rose story. They had the Poe and Leia story, and the Leia and the Rey and Kylo story.
But they were all clearly defined and fleshed out, as opposed to this.
But movie. They were. I'm not saying that they weren't. What I'm saying is
Seems like you are.
What I'm saying is that they devoted a lot of time to each of them without cutting back and forth, because then it would be jarring. In this, they do kind of the same thing, except for they don't explain the other storyline. They just expect you to be like totally with the fact that this Pomeranian happened to carry the symbiote to Michelle Williams and deliver it to... It's like when she showed up in the woods and it was like sexy babe Venom, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Well, this is not... I was like... Is this even part of the movie? Is this a different symbiote alien? And then it comes off of her, and I was like, wait a second. And then it goes back on it, and then they never talk about it again for the rest of the movie.
Well, they talk about the fact that they kiss at the end.
Yeah, but
yeah, I know.
But she becomes Venom. And
for a little bit,
and then they never.
Everyone gets to be Venom.
It's so insane. This movie is just so broken.
Yeah,
it's broken in so many ways. It's like I don't even know. I almost would recommend this movie as like a case study.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like
how to not make a movie.
Yeah, how to not, because it's like we've seen. In the last year, we've seen a couple great examples of how to do a great superhero movie and a great anti-hero movie, Deadpool. And then we get Infinity War. It's like
Thor, Black Panther, Wonder Woman.
How to do a great hero, someone you admire. How to do a great despicable person that you find entertaining,
like Thanos,
or like Deadpool.
Yeah.
And then this movie is just grasping at straws and trying to grab both, and it's trying to have a love story. It's trying to be Tom Hardy's despicable, and it's trying to introduce other villains into this universe, and it's trying to have humor and be vulgar, but it's not violent. It's PG-13, but it's so. This movie feels like it feels so dated. I mean, this
feels like what Marvel was.
Yeah.
Before the MCU started. You know what I mean? Like late X-Men trilogy, late Spider-Man trilogy. Like mid-2000s Marvel.
If you showed somebody Halle Berry, Catwoman, and this back-to-back, they would think that they happened concurrently at the same time in history.
Best review I've heard of this movie.
And that's all I got for the main thing. It's just like, this movie was frustrating because months ago, I thought that Venom solo was kind of a cool idea. You take a character that is tormented and unique and have him played by a good actor and set up a villain that you can eventually face off against a perfectly good hero against a conflicted bad villain. But instead they just went so vanilla, and it's depressing to watch it on screen. And it was downright comical. This was the best comedy I've seen all year. So before we close this out, let's talk about the post-credit sequence. And you take this away.
It's bad.
It's real bad.
First of all, I'm disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know how much I love Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Big fan.
Rip Woody Harrelson's career.
Huge fan. It's not rip to his career, but he took the role of Cletus Cassidy in a cameo appearance that is never explicitly stated that he's Cletus Cassidy. He has this like clown looking wig on and no one really explains why he wanted to talk to Eddie, but Eddie shows up in Alcatraz and he's like, yeah, I'm here to interview you. And he's like, listen, Mr. Brock, next time this happens, it's going to be carnage. And everyone's just like,
got it.
Boom, 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 boom. It's like, yeah, we get it.
There's going to be carnage. Do you get it?
You know what would have been cool?
Carnage.
This is how you fix that scene. Cletus is painting the welcome Eddie with blood on the wall, which was cool. And then he turns to face Eddie, and you just see the name tag that says Cassidy on it, and then cut to black.
Because then you get that's the whole thing. Is that
it's ambiguous?
I agree, ambiguous.
Yeah,
it was like
they shove it down your face.
Well, the first Marvel post credit scene that I vividly remember, besides the Nick Fury one in Iron Man, is the one in
the Hulk.
The Hulk, which is Thor.
No, it's Iron Man.
Is it? No, which is the one where it shows Thor's hammer and
Iron Man 2.
That's Iron Man 2?
Yeah.
I remember that because there was
I love the Hulk post-credit scene.
Yeah, that one's cool too.
Ross and Tony in the bar.
But you know those characters.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
In the
Iron Man 2, it's just the hammer.
Yes. In that one, I vividly remember, man, this is so funny. That ending post-credit scene happens and it's the hammer and the thing, and the woman in front of us goes, she was like, she turned to her daughter or whatever. She was like, "Oh my God, it's Green Lantern." and the dude next to her goes, "It's Thor, you bitch." Or he said something like that. And we were like cackling, laughing. He was like, it's Thor, you idiot. And we were all like laughing. And I was like, that's ambiguous enough that you kind of stir up that sort of dialogue. In this, it's like, there's carnage. Carnage. Because that's me. My name is Carnage. I have a symbiote inside me that calls itself Carnage. It's like, got it, dude. Thanks man. Thanks for the... It's like...
So here's a question. Would you watch this movie or a Rocky-esque Venom sequel about Carnage and Venom training to fight each other? and then they fight at the end.
I mean, I'd rather watch
in a
that.
boxing ring.
I'd rather watch what you're saying because it's at least goofy,
Right?
and fun.
That'd be awesome.
I think that Venom is the perfect character to kind of. Venom is the Deadpool of the MC, or could have been the Deadpool of the MCU.
No, Deadpool is the Deadpool of the MCU. They need to integrate that shit.
They will
ASAP.
They will. But
Venom
but what I mean is that like
is a B character at best. Sorry to the people that like Venom out there, but he serves his best purpose as a supporting character. I know you love the Agent Venom storyline. For those of you out there, you love to see Venom be a good guy. It's just not as enticing from a character standpoint unless he's the opposing figure to Spider-Man.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate like last thing that I want to hit on before we close the review out is that what I was talking about, that scene where after the motorcycle chase scene when he finally turns into Venom and he's jumping on the walls and like punching guys and jumping around before he jumps in the water like a puss. I was like, I would love to see Tom Holland just jump in and try and fight this guy right now. Like,
yeah.
The weight.
But he didn't.
He didn't, but the weight that would have. Like, Tom Holland in Spider-Man Homecoming when he's buried under rubble, like shouting like a kid, like in danger and in need. Imagine him facing off against a foe that's like a monster. I want to see that so bad, and
that's why you introduce Venom as a villain.
Exactly, but I think that could have worked. You just needed that.
I think it would have. This movie would have served better as a spin-off out of a Spider-Man sequel. I still stand by that. I think you introduce it that way, like you were saying, and then we explore the character. Because we all want to watch a Heath Ledger movie about the Joker after The Dark Knight. We all want to see that. But it only works if we fall in love with the character when it's represented a certain way in the first place.
Sure.
And Venom is a cool character. He's not one of my favorites, but I still respect the fact that he is a cool character. He's a good creation. He's a good idea.
Yeah.
But he always spins out of the fact that it starts with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like even the suit in the comics has that big white spider across his chest because it thinks Eddie is like Peter. But it's not. Yeah. So that's why it's a little warped.
And the cool thing is that you have the Eddie and Peter relationship, too.
Of course,
along
the rivalry.
With the Spider-Man and Venom relationship.
The rivalry.
Yeah, and so I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But I do think that, in this modern superhero age, like, starting, having a Venom solo movie that leads into Spider-Man Far From Home could have worked. They just needed to complete 100% into making that what they were going to do. But what they made was, it wasn't quite a character study of Eddie Brock. It wasn't quite a like creepy body horror, like experimental horror movie. It wasn't an action movie because there's only one action scene in the whole movie. It wasn't like a mystery drama. It was just nothing. It was a flat line the whole way through, and then there were moments where I laughed because it was so stupid. And it's like, it just boggles my mind that this movie even made it to release, and then B, that it's making money.
It is making a lot of money.
It's making money. It was the top. What was it?
Beat A Star Is Born last week.
It beat A Star Is Born, but it also received the highest grossing opening weekend for a movie in October ever.
Yeah.
So,
crazy.
Audiences are at least interested, or the marketing is working. We don't know what the weekend drop-off will be. I mean, like, I'm interested.
We have to understand that there is a large audience out there that loves these tormented characters. Even if they're represented poorly, they love them. That's why Suicide Squad made so much money. That's why BVS made so much money. People we
don't know that. We don't know that for sure. I think a lot of the reason.
I think it represents itself, though.
BVS made money because it's Batman and Superman, and that's easily marketable for China.
The darkest versions of both of them.
But that's easily marketable for foreign market.
Maybe China likes watching Americans struggle on film.
I think that Venom and Suicide Squad have kind of similar things going for them, where it's like, Run the Jewels and Eminem made a song for it, and it's kind of hip, and it's easy to dub over in Chinese. It's not too complicated of a plot.
Or it's so bad you go on a date, but only to make out. so that's why they're making a lot of money.
Also good point.
Price of
Also
admission.
good point.
Yeah. Would you make out to the voice of Eddie? So many snacks.
His liver. What about his gallbladder?
She's thinking about his gallbladder, and she's like, "Oh, gross."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this movie is. I wouldn't recommend this movie to like anybody.
So that transitions 20-point scale.
Yeah, Radiovania 20
What are you giving
scale. It fails spectacularly at being a Venom movie. It fails at being an interesting comic book movie.
It fails at being a movie.
And it fails at being an interesting like story. What they were going for just didn't work. But I saw what they were trying to do in bits. So I mean, I did enjoy a few moments of the movie. I like Tom Hardy's portrayal of the character when he isn't being told to like be extra crazy, shake your head crazy in the MRI, do this and this and this. Yeah, exactly. It's like there were a few moments when I genuinely saw Tom Hardy acting in this role, and I liked it. The movie just has this so much baggage of studio involvement that I can't recommend it on any realm of the universe. So I would give it, if Suicide Squad, do I like this or Suicide Squad more?
Do you remember what you gave Suicide Squad?
I don't remember what I gave Suicide
Me neither.
Squad.
I think we highballed it too much.
I think Suicide Squad is probably a solid 4.5 maybe. Like, there's some interesting bits of stuff.
I would give Suicide Squad a 3.
A 3. I think Suicide Squad had some interesting moments.
Yeah. 30%.
So, yeah, like a 30. So, I'm trying to think if it's like, would I rather go and rewatch Venom or rewatch Suicide Squad? And right now, I would say Venom because I was laughing more.
Okay.
Suicide Squad, I was watching and just like, I was like, aw, they're doing this to the Joker. Aw,
Yeah.
Harley Quinn is getting this treatment. Venom, at least, I was like consistently turning to you and like giggling because it was so stupid.
Yeah, we were drunk too.
We were drunk, so
We weren't drunk for Suicide Squad. I bet you we would have liked it tenfold.
I mean, the thing is that like Suicide Squad is a depressing movie because I like a lot of those characters. Venom is a movie where I think like I could watch this on bad movie night. Like I don't
know if I ever want to watch this again. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 10.
So you like this less than Suicide Squad?
I also think Suicide Squad is a 2.5 out of 10. Okay. Retroactively adjusting.
So they're like
they're both horrible, and I never want to see either of them again. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
As much as there are some salvageable things from it, in the same way that there are salvageable things from Suicide Squad, it's not enough for me to waste my time watching it again.
No.
Because overall, I'm just going to be disappointed again.
Yeah, I completely agree.
If a movie scores under a 50 for me, odds are I'm not going to really give it another chance.
Yeah.
Just because it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't succeed in any way that I would want to spend another 90 to 120 minutes of my life again.
And the thing is that like we went in with such low expectations, and
it's still
surprised me.
It still got a 2.5. Yeah.
So
it's just laughable, like you said, but not laughable to like, let's watch Spider-Man 3 laughable.
That's the thing is that the movie. Oh man, can you imagine? Like that's another thing I was thinking about was I was like, man, imagine this movie. Like I don't really know Ruben Fleischer at all. I don't know Fleischer. I don't know Fleischer. I don't know if I've seen anything else he's done, but I was like, man, I was imagining this movie in the hands of someone like Sam Raimi, or someone like I don't even freaking know, man. Like
Ridley Scott,
maybe, because then you would have gotten the darker spin on it.
And the alien.
This movie was just. It was like, here's point A and here's point B. You got dark, you got cool comic book movie, and it went, and it just farted right in the middle. And it didn't go in anywhere in any direction. It just stayed very...
It's like a porta potty.
It tried to be safe. And it just failed. It's a spectacular failure. And that's why I almost recommend it to people that want to like watch it, because it's like... it's kind of interesting to see this. It's like watching a football player get injured. It's like you don't really want to see it, but it's like, oh, I gotta see how it happens.
If anything, it's like watching what happens to a car crash once you finally get up in traffic and you see what caused the traffic that you were in. The whole
that's
time.
better.
That's what I like to see with this movie. Is it's like, how does it culminate, and is it worth my time? Answer is no. So that's Venom.
Yeah. So the thing is that it's like really, really quick before we close this out, because I don't think there's some news, but I think we might as well just save it till tomorrow. Do like another mini show tomorrow with some news.
Sure.
Just so we can eat our pizza and go to bed.
I want that pizza so bad.
Me too.
I'm salivating.
What do you do now? What do you do next?
With Venom?
Yeah, because because this movie made money.
But not enough.
I bet you it made enough to justify its budget.
Did it make more than Solo on its opening weekend?
Well, what you got to do is the classic, like, double the budget movie.
Here's an interesting question.
Like,
do you like Solo or do you like this movie more? You got to answer the question.
guess I'd like Solo more.
One win for the good guys.
So the budget for Venom was $100 million. And then double that to account for marketing and cost of production and everything like that. Or
so
like
looking at $400 million movie.
No, around $200 million.
Well, you add it for marketing, right?
No, you just double it. So like 100 million
so you just
times
tack
2.
On. Oh, okay.
That's usually a safe bet of like how to determine how much they spend on marketing.
I don't know. I've been seeing trailers for this shit for a while.
Yeah, so sometimes it could be more, sometimes it's less, but you're not going to spend twice your production budget on marketing. That's just like not a sensible move to do.
What about the voiceover that goes, "I'm Eddie Brock, I'm a reporter, blah 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 blah, Brooklyn, blah 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 blah."
Then let's look. So its budget was 100 million. We can assume that it spent around 200 million on marketing and everything like that. For its opening bow, Venom brought in over 80 million domestically, and currently it sits at a domestic total of 107 million. So already it's broken even on its production cost. So it's only 100 million short of making its like advertising budget or double its budget to be safe within that realm of considering it profitable. So we're recording this podcast on Saturday, the weekend after Venom came out. So we don't know if it's suffered from the dreaded second weekend box office drop like BVS and Suicide Squad, but it's going up against First Man. It's going up for a second week against Stars Born, which are both very highly reviewed movies. Yeah. But Venom's a superhero movie. General audiences like superhero comic book movies, so it's like I am very curious to know where this movie lands. And if it is profitable, then they're going to continue this franchise. It's just where do you think they go from here?
I think you got to go with the obvious route. I think you just have him fight Carnage. You do a movie that introduces a character that is criminally insane, and you already have a character that is psychologically screwed. So you just have two characters that both deal with psychological issues from different ends, and you just see a conflict that tears both of their lives apart, and then turns into a couple of really good action sequences with symbiote fights that isn't as goopy as this one.
Do you introduce Spider-Man in that one?
No. At this point, you don't introduce Spider-Man. You missed your window. I mean, he's already Venom.
Yeah.
If anything, you introduce Venom into the Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man is so bright and colorful, he doesn't really fit into this Venom movie. But Venom would fit in a Spider-Man movie as a villain, definitely.
That's the thing, man, is that's my final point, is that I want to see that so bad. I really do like Tom Hardy in this movie. Like, he had some stuff that was weak, but I kind of blame a lot of it on the direction. Like, I just don't think that he was, like, I think a good director can get a good performance out of anybody. And I think that I saw glimmers of good performance out of Tom Hardy. I just think that a lot of it was chopped up and shit on in the cutting room floor. And so I just want to see Tom Hardy and Spider-Man have this Tom Holland innocence and power and justice and truth go against Tom Hardy that's this kind of psychotic weirdo that's being controlled by an entity. I think that could lend its way to some really interesting set piece. But
maybe.
That's just my 2 cents.
We'll see.
I want to stay optimistic about it because I like the idea of Tom Hardy being a prevalent villain in the MCU.
And I like
of all the MCU
that idea
villains, Venom
originally.
is a really good one.
And I like that idea originally.
It's just we got a terrible fucking Venom movie.
We're kind of suffering from, again, not to make too many comparisons, but we're suffering from BVS syndrome, where they kind of shot themselves in the foot by going too much all in their first bout, and now they have set their their Batman production back incredibly far, or their Superman production back. Like they don't even have Superman anymore. They don't have either of those actors anymore. Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen. You know, if there's a perfect world where Tom Hardy can make another appearance, great. He's a good actor. I would watch him wipe his ass for a couple hours. You know what I mean? Like he's very dynamic on screen for the most part. Just this movie didn't really display any of that potential. Here's hoping. But in the meantime, this movie is an armless, faceless, legless turd in the wind. And I wouldn't really recommend it.
Yeah. That's all I got. Let's close the book.
Our Radiovania.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to this. We will have more Radiovania soon. But thank you for sticking around for this hour-long review of maybe the worst movie I've seen all year.
This is the worst movie I've seen this year. But I haven't seen a lot of movies this year, but it takes a cake.
Yeah. Follow the show, Radiovania.com. Do the things, like the stuff. Honestly, I don't have energy. I want to eat some pizza. Radiovania.